can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome, unfortunately, to a little Pod at the Palace after dark. I'm Curtis Wilkerson, joined by John Nabors, and if we are here at this time of night and there's not a basketball game, that probably means there's bad news, and it turns out there is. According to a report at 9:35 p.m. from John Rothstein, sources, Arkansas freshman Boogie Fland will miss the remainder of the 2024-25 season due to a hand injury. He calls this significant SEC news. I think I would have to agree. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, here we are, John.
I thought it was a joke at first. I was like, oh, well, he's going to be out for the game. The injury report, he's going to be out for the game. But as soon as I see he's out for the year, it's unfortunate, really. I know that Arkansas season hasn't gone great, and I think he's a really good player and all of that. But man, I think the big topic is going to be, man, you kind of wish you had more than 8 players, don't you? For something like this. So yeah, I hate it for him. I hate it for Arkansas. But man, just the hits just keep on coming for Cal and this team this year.
Yeah, this is a brutal one, and just for the sake of time frame, if people might have been tuned out after that Missouri blown out or whatever, and just didn't really know what was going on. After the Missouri game on Saturday, one of the first things John Calipari brought up was Boogie Fland's hand. Said, hey, it's bad. He shouldn't have played. We'll see what it looks like moving forward here if we need to shut him down for a little while or what. And he said that it happened during the Florida game, that he fell, and I guess Billy Richmond might have stepped on him or something like that happened. So apparently this had been a thing for more than a week, and there were a couple games after that where, hand hurt or not, he was playing big minutes and taking a bunch of shots for the Razorbacks. I think we can all agree with that. Now, they weren't going in, so we thought maybe, okay, this is an explanation of it. I think we were all kind of in the mindset of, all right, we'll see what they do this week with Boogie. Cal talked on his radio show Monday and said he's doubtful at best for this game against Georgia. We talked to Chin Coleman, assistant coach, today earlier, and he said, yeah, still doubtful. We might have some more news later. Turns out they did. The SEC availability report came out at about 7:00 and had him out for this game. And then Rothstein just drops the bomb on everybody at 9:35. So Arkansas is without. Say what you want about the struggles that he's had in SEC play. And yeah, he has struggled in SEC play, but still one of the best freshman point guards in the entire country. And clearly the best playmaker that Arkansas has had on this roster. They are already struggling at a historic level. This ain't good. This is going to be a tough one for the Razorbacks to navigate, man.
I know. And it's, if you look at, of course, the year, we know it's 0-5. The team hasn't been great. But just looking at his numbers on the year, I mean, he's played in every game. He's averaging 34 minutes a game. He's hitting about 40% of his shots, 37% from three, 84% from the free throw line. But, that's all well and good. But you're talking about a guy that averages about 6 assists a game and only 1.5 turnovers a game. So the ratio is great there. And, if you're going to have any sort of semblance of maybe a comeback or maybe some sort of positivity towards the rest of the season, you're going to need everybody to be involved. And that included guys like Nelly Davis, guys like Adu Thiero, guys like, a Big Z, Trevor Brazil, but including and especially a Boogie Fland, because he was about as good as you could ask in a lot of cases. Shot way too many long twos, but still, this is a crucial blow to already a team that's struggling. And I mentioned the amount of players that they have on the roster. Now that you have him no longer going to be a part of it, this is really going to be fascinating to see. There's only so much you can do if you're Cal, but going to be fascinating to see how Cal and the team handles it moving forward, and him not being a part of it for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I already see people in the comments that are doing like, what? No more fall away ISO 18-footers? No more no pass possessions? All these things. You're going to miss him when he's gone.
Yes.
And here we go. But this is tough for Arkansas, man. It's just, and I get it. I was all for maybe just mixing some things up, moving him off the ball more and taking some of that pressure off of him. But this is an offensively challenged basketball team. It has been all year. And, you're taking out a guy now who was, I think, still second in the SEC in assist. And you mentioned his assist to turnover. It's been really, really good. And some of the reason why he takes some of the shots he does is because he's the one guy who can kind of create them. That doesn't mean they're all high percentage shots, but you don't have a lot of guys who can put it on the deck and do that. And so that's scary because now this team's going to have to rely so much more on, dare I say, execution to get good shots in the half court. And that might be a little bit of an adventure. There's something to be said maybe about kind of the immediate bump that comes sometimes when you're a little bit shorthanded and guys know like, okay, I need to step up or I have an opportunity. Even Cal mentioned on the radio show about like, well, there's 15 more shots that, might be able to go around there. So it creates opportunities, but they're going to need guys who haven't stepped up through 18 games to step up now. And it's scary, man. I would imagine DJ Wagner probably slides into that point guard position for the most part. He's done some of that before. It hasn't gone particularly well for him, but at least he's got SEC experience doing it. After that, they're mentioning Billy Richmond as the backup point guard. And apparently he did that some in high school, I guess, but he's also, and I love me some Billy Richmond, but it's because of his energy and his effort and his hustle and his toughness. It's not his ball handling and his ability to initiate the offense. So this is going to get tricky, man. And it's going to have to be a group effort to replace what you lost, and just replacing what you lost is replacing what you lost on a team that's already 0-5 in the SEC. So the struggle bus may continue here.
Well, you mentioned his assists. Zakai Ziegler still leads the SEC far and away, 7.7 assists a game. But Boogie Fland is second at 5.7. And then after that, in third, is a full assist per game less with Lamont Butler. So, it shows you how great Zakai Ziegler is at assists, but also you have a true freshman point guard who is significantly higher than any other player besides Zakai Ziegler in the SEC at assist. And, if you've already talked about a stagnant offense, an offense that has not done a really good job of being well executed or well coached or whatever, it just doesn't give you a lot of faith that, okay, well, it's going to be fine because just give it to DJ Wagner and it's, no drop off or maybe even gets better. I just don't see that being a realistic thought process that anyone should have. That, oh, no, it's going to be fine because Wagner's going to step up or Nelly's going to step up. Maybe they step up in different ways. Maybe they step up where they start hitting more shots, or maybe their offense gets a little bit going here and there, maybe. But as far as a guy kind of directing and being the assist guy, I just don't see one of those guys stepping into that role and no problems, no questions asked, everything's just fine. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's tough to not think the way that you are here, man. And yes, like Boogie has struggled in SEC play, especially the last few games here, where it's like, okay, something ain't right. They got to figure some things out here. A lot of it's been his scoring and his shooting efficiency, but you look up and he's your best 3-point shooter in terms of makes by double digits in makes. And this is already a team that doesn't shoot it well. And we think like, okay, yeah, maybe they can do some things where the ball's moving a little bit more and, the shots are spread out a little bit more evenly. Maybe, but this is a guy who has 103 assists to just 28 turnovers on the season. He's good, and he's just been a really big part about what, Arkansas's success. I've said all year, and it's just my opinion, but as Boogie goes, Arkansas goes. And when Boogie goes well, Arkansas usually has. And when he hasn't, and that's been the case in SEC play, they really haven't. But the alternative has been when he comes off the floor, things don't usually get much better for Arkansas. So they're really going to have to figure some things out, and guys are going to have to be better versions of themselves. Like you said, I don't know that I feel like this is just suddenly going to get better, but that's all you can hang on to. So do you get more out of DJ? I don't know. We'll see. But like a John L. Davis, listen, say what you want. If you were getting irritated about all those people that were like, oh, put him on the end of the bench, give Tyson his refund or whatever, that dude's going to be playing like 38 minutes a game now. and he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. Maybe that gets him back into a role that he's more comfortable with. Like if we're looking for like hope, maybe that does it. I don't know. But then like Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, there's no more learning curve. There's no more freshman growing pains. Like you guys got to step it up. Big Z, there's no more of this. He's kind of a liability on defense in this game. We're not going to be able to play him. No, he has to play because he's one of the only guys on the roster now that can hit threes. Like you have to have him in there and have those attempts. All these guys have to be better. And to your point, I don't know that they will be. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either. I think that, of course, we're going to see tomorrow night exactly, what this team's going to look like. And, all it's going to take is Arkansas getting a win and Nelly Davis going for 20, and everyone's going to be, oh, man, look at this. It's going to be back. Maybe. But
I hope.
I mean, yeah, I do too. I really do. But, I'm also looking at it as far as the future of this season, not necessarily just the wins and losses, which is important, but I am going to be curious about, is Boogie still going to be present on the team? Is he going to be on the bench?
Question.
Is he going to be in his street clothes? Is he going to be or is he just, hey, I'm going back to wherever and, healing up and getting ready for the NBA? Is he going to still be a part of the team? I think it is going to be interesting for that. And, if he's not, I know people are going to have a pretty negative reaction to that, and maybe it's justified, but, just knowing what his situation is and everything, what is that going to look like with him? And is this something to where if the season was better, would this be a full season injury, or would it be more of a out indefinitely and playing through the pain? I don't know. I honestly don't know, but it is just, those are the questions I think people are going to have for Boogie with, what is it now, 15? No, not even that, 13 games left of the season.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. I'm going to be really anxious to see if he's out there as well. And then, does he have a cast on or a splint or something on that hand? What does that look like? Is he traveling with the team? And Arkansas fans are a little, they've got some PTSD from this with the Nick Smith situation a couple years ago, but Nick Smith came back.
Yep.
And because I remember he was like not with the team. He was out in LA and he was doing quote unquote rehab, and everybody's like, this dude ain't coming back. But he did. And it was also never announced that he was out for the season. So this might be a little bit different here. And who knows, it could have been a deal where after the game Saturday, they said, all right, this is really bothering you. Let's get some tests run, get an evaluation done. And then they didn't like what they saw. And that was, time to shut it down. We don't know if it's that. We don't know if he needs a surgery. We don't know if it's a business decision. Like all those things are going to be debated and discussed. And guess what? We're probably never going to hear the actual answer, which is just going to leave it up to interpretation for everybody. But at the end of the day, what we do know is if Rothstein is right, and Buddy, if he's putting it out there like that, he's right. Arkansas is without, their best player for the rest of the season, and that's not fun.
No, it's not. And here's what I really hope for, because first off, I hope Boogie gets better. I never want to see a player, especially that young, deal with an injury, and I'm just gonna hopefully have a speedy recovery and all that. But I am just really, really hopeful that this is something that's going to be handled correctly and handled in a positive light, because I know how fans get. How fans get, Curtis, and I'm not saying that they'll be wrong in it at all. I'm just saying, just for the sake of everybody, if it's a legitimate injury that's legitimately taking him out and he cannot play this season, okay. But I still want to see you being there. I still want to see you present, because if you're not, I don't want that to be what you get remembered by, Boogie Fland, here at Arkansas. Like, I don't want that to happen. Like, the season's already bad enough, and this team's probably not going to be remembered very well. But for you in particular, if you go on to have a great career in the NBA and you end up being great, I just don't want that to be always remembered by Razorback fans of, oh, this guy, yeah, he was the one that just made a business decision and didn't care about the Arkansas Razorbacks, didn't care about the team, wasn't present anymore. Just as soon as he got injured, he left and never saw him again. I just really hope it's handled correctly and handled the right way, and everybody's like good with that. I don't know who. Yeah, we'll find out what the situation is, but it is just interesting, like you brought up, Curtis, of he played through the injury and shot a lot of shots, and to see him out, we don't know if it's a surgery. We don't know exactly what the extent is, but we just know it's his hand. So, I don't know if we'll ever know, but maybe Cal in his press conference tomorrow after the game will maybe enlighten us to like what it is.
Yeah. I mean, and I know he's typically not very forthcoming with that stuff, but if it's a season ender and it's out there, then maybe it's a deal. Like, it's already out there. It's been news for 24 hours by the time the game is over and we talk to him, to where he'll at least say, yeah, it's broken or something. I have no idea. Like, this is new territory for us here. I'm sure our friends with BBN will be able to tell us how he usually handles this kind of thing. I don't know, but I keep going back to what you said right off the top, man, about, boy, it makes you really wonder about that decision to have 9 guys on your roster, because you know, we've thought about, you know, the front court. No, they didn't get a meatball in there who could be physical and throw dudes around. And, you know, first it was Adu, who was he had surgery in the offseason, and Big Z's in a boot, and then Trevin rolls his ankle in like the third game of the year. And those guys have been in and out. But we didn't talk so much about the backcourt, because really, and you're seeing it now, there was nothing there behind the main guys. Like, there's a reason why. Here's what we need to look up is minutes per game. Because there's a reason why over Christmas break, when I was looking at it, I'm sure it hasn't changed much, that Boogie Fland and DJ Wagner were like the two highest minutes getters in the SEC. There was nobody to replace them. And now you're forced to kind of do that. And so some guys are going to have to take on different roles. They're going to be out of position. It's going to kind of be a mess. And there were guys out there that they could have had. Like, I understand not wanting to have too many mouths to feed, but when there are 1,500, 2,000 people in the transfer portal, you can't tell me that there aren't experienced veteran, you know, point guards out there who are just solid players at mid majors who would be willing and excited to come to a place like Arkansas. We know how the season's going now, but in theory, like in the offseason, okay, move up to the SEC, a really good team, Hall of Fame coach, you know, be a role player and enjoy the ride and maybe go to an NCAA tournament. You're telling me you couldn't get a guy like that? It's crazy to me. Kansas went and did it.
Yeah.
Twice. Because when their guy Elmarco Jackson went down during the summer, they went and got David Coit, who's a really good player for him now. And they also went and got Shaq Moore out of Mississippi State, who wound up getting hurt himself, but now he's back and he's a contributor over there. But they just didn't do it, man. He was very stuck in his ways. And we said it from day one. All right, man. Well, you just better stay healthy. And they haven't been healthy all season. And now they have a season ender. And it just amplifies what was a failed experiment in terms of the roster build for Cal in year one here at Arkansas, man. It's tough stuff.
Yeah. That's if you're looking for any sort of hope and looking for any sort of, positivity about the future of Razorback basketball, it just has to be that Cal screwed up, made a massive, major error in this roster. And he's going to learn from this mistake and never let it happen again, and going to build the roster the right way next year. That's what you got to hope for. You got to hope that, he gets enough players that if they have injuries, it happens and everything. Because what was it that he said, Curtis? I want to say, it wasn't at Basketball Media Days, but is that something where he was talking about the 9 players and people bringing it up, and he said, well, if your best player gets hurt, it doesn't matter how many players you have. Your season's going to be ruined.
When I was at UMass, I played with 6 guys. All right, well,
yeah, you played with 6 guys. At UMass back in the late '90s. And that it worked out then, but doesn't make it right. Like a dead clock's right twice a day. Doesn't mean it's that you need to just keep doing it. So, yeah, it just really has come back to haunt him and really come back to bite this team. And so. Again, I hate it for Boogie. I hate it for the team. I hate it for everybody. But again, it's on brand for this season so far for the Razorback basketball team.
Yeah, it really is, man. When it rains, it pours. Do feel for Boogie and hope he's good, because he's such a fun player.
Yeah.
Good dude. He's exciting to watch. Got a lot of swagger about him. And so get that thing healed up and then, ball out in the league, whatever that path looks like for you. And some people are going to be asking that question of like, well, I don't know, like he struggled in SEC play and then he got hurt. You think he's coming back? No, I don't. If he did, that'd be cool. But at the same time, I don't even know how that would work with Acuff and Malik Thomas both coming here. So I'm not even putting that out on the radar as a possibility. I think he's going to, probably go explore those pro options as he should. And also I looked it up real quick while you were talking there. In the SEC, there are 3 players in the conference who are averaging over 34 minutes per game. In third is Zakai Ziegler at 34 at Tennessee. DJ Wagner and Boogie Fland both lead the conference, 34.1 minutes per game. So there you have it.
So you just lost 34 minutes of a player playing in a game. You lost one, and the other one is not the same player, but it's a player that you would think, because that's what sucks is you're like, DJ Wagner may be able to make up for a little bit of it. And it's like, no, that dude's already playing 34 minutes. Like he's playing more minutes than Boogie. So it's not like he can just up his minutes. It goes back to like what you said. Every player has to step up. We all know that. But this is Nelly Davis time. I don't know what else you need, Nelly. I don't know what else it's going to take. Yeah. You literally You have sucked this year, and you have now a guy who's injured. You're the guard that was in front of you that was playing a lot. He's done for the season. You are not going to get more minutes than what you get now. You're not going to have the ball in your hand more than what you're going to get now. What are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to show? I don't know what else it's going to take. So maybe we see something from Nelly. I doubt it, but maybe. But this is his time to shine. So we'll see, I guess.
His numbers are going to go up. Like his shot attempts are going to go up. You know, how efficient it looks, I don't know. Like, is he going to be a turnover machine with the ball in his hands more? Maybe. I don't know. But like, it's just that's the sword we're going to have to die on here, because that's the situation that they're in. There are no other alternatives. We can talk about what about Melo Sanchez and what about Cash Chavis? It ain't happening. He's not doing it. So the 8 that they have now, or the 8 that they're going to have to roll with, and it just is what it is, man. And we'll see what it looks like for the Hogs pretty quick. Like this time tomorrow, we will have had our first sample size of the boogieless Razorbacks against an SEC team. And I don't know, man. I don't know. You want to hit a few chats and then get out of here? I've got to re-record my entire preview for this game tomorrow. I'm so mad.
I know. I'm not, just not to rub it in, but I'm very fortunate that I have not recorded Locked On yet, because I knew I was gonna have to do the same crap. So yeah, this is part of it, dude. It's part of it.
I had the whole built in, like, oh, as of this recording, he's doubtful. We're just gonna kind of assume he's not playing, you know. But this changes everything, man. So it is.
By the way, real quick before we do that, I just thought this was interesting. You talked about Nelly Davis and the turnovers. I was looking at it in the SEC alone. He has the worst assist to turnover ratio of a guard that plays over 25 minutes per game, except for one guard in the league, according to my math here. And that one player is Wade Taylor. Wade Taylor is the only one that has a worse one than, or no, not Wade Taylor. Not Wade Taylor. I was looking at the wrong one. Actually, I'm going to have to go back. Jordan Sears of LSU. Jordan
okay.
Sears.
Okay.
But either way, yeah.
I was gonna say that this John L. Davis like increased usage thing, he could become the Florida Atlantic version of himself. I really don't think that's gonna happen. It'd be neat if it did, but like he's going, like I said, his numbers are gonna go up. It might be Wade Taylor-ish of he's chucking it and it's not very efficient, but he's getting you points, and you hope that just like invigorates him to play hard defensively and everything like that. That might be what it winds up looking like there. He's that talented of a scorer, believe it or not. Maybe that's best case scenario. I don't know, man.
I want JD Notae numbers as far as shooting goes. Give me those like 5 of 19 games.
Yeah, what was he like 6 of 29 against Gonzaga or something?
Yes.
He won that game. I don't know.
Exactly. Just give me those games, as long as do some other things too. But if that's what it takes for you to get to 20 points, so be it. Whatever it takes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, we'll roll through just a handful of chats and then we'll get out of here. It's 10:30 at night, but shout out to everybody who's checking this out. So Hayden Pounds, I get it, man. He says, so he played through this injury, the whole Mizzou game and the LSU game, by the way. But now it's something that is not something that he can do the rest of the year. Fishy. I get it. But it very well could have been, hey, man, this thing is bothering me. I'm icing it down, after games and after practice, and then just not getting better. And maybe it was really bugging him. Somebody said that he was in the handshake lines against Missouri. He was reaching across his body with his left hand to shake hands with everybody because he didn't want to use his right. So for those who think it's like a fake or whatever, I mean, clearly it's bothering him. If it was a season ender for real or whatever, we don't know.
Oh, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. Like, I'm just going to assume that it's all legitimate. This is a bad injury. And yeah, he wanted to play through it. Couldn't. They said they saw something. They shut him down. Like, I'm going to give him that benefit until proven otherwise. Yeah, exactly. Morning Dude 1970. There's got to be a Kentucky fan. He says, "Are you sure that Cal has even seen him?" I think that was one of his things when they would ask him about injuries over there. He's like, "I haven't seen him." I don't know. Eric Musselman used to do that stuff too. If I recall. Ty Langston, he says, underrated aspect of this disaster we missed on JQ. He's talking about Jaden Quaintance, who was one of the Kentucky commits that didn't follow over. Watching him be a beast for Arizona State right now. Yeah, he would have been a nice one to have. It wouldn't solve their point guard issues right now, but it would have been interesting. Man, oh man. Yeah, a lot of people talking about his draft stock, that he's just trying to preserve it or whatever.
I just think it's more nuanced than that. When people say that stuff, if you don't think it's a consideration, you're crazy. But I don't know that it's always the driving factor in things like this, but it is a consideration, as it should be to a degree. I mean, it's kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it here. Great assist to turnover ratio. Agreed, but something wasn't working with him running the point. Yeah, it wasn't that fluid. I tend to think it's more the offense, if that's what we want to call it, that they're trying to run more than it is him. But then he would get into that mode if they're struggling where he'll go a whole possession without passing the basketball, man. Just dribble, and then take a contested shot. And those are tough. So I don't know. I guess there's some evidence of this happening back at Kentucky. This guy says he called it. He's laughing his ass off. Why would you laugh about that though? I just feel like that's maybe in poor taste. It's an injury, guy. But he brings up Severe Wheeler, Terrence Clark, Shaden Sharp. I remember Shaden Sharp. I think I remember the Severe Wheeler deal too, but he wasn't tanking for his draft stock. I don't know.
I just still, again, until there's other things that come out, or if anything's proven otherwise, like, I mean, it's a bad season. Is it one of those injuries that he could have played through and could have gotten better, or maybe gone out for a couple of games if Arkansas, instead of being 0-5, was 4-1?
Yeah.
Like maybe that was the case. But again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not him. I'm not in that. I'm just going to go with, hey, significant injury, and he couldn't play through it, and he wanted to, but he couldn't. So that's that. And anybody that feels otherwise, I get it. Like, I totally get it. It seems that there's a lot of things adding up, but I just don't think right now, in the very freshness of this, is that it's an obvious thing that has to be true. I just don't see that.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing a lot of stuff like this. Marshall says the season is the most Arkansas thing ever. That I agree with. He says may as well let the whole thing blow up if we're stuck with Cal. Maybe this goes bad enough. He realizes the 9-man roster idea was the dumbest move. Hopefully he already realizes that.
Seriously.
Megan says, let's just pack it up and mail it in. This is not going well. Listen, you're not tanking for the number 1 pick. Like, that's not how this works here. I get it. And you just want to be like, the hell with this, man. I'm over it. But they still got to do whatever they can to win as many games as possible, because not doing that is the type of thing that could affect your ability to recruit a better roster. I don't get that sense with Cal as much as others, because we know that he's a master recruiter that has a lot of other things to sell besides winning. He's kind of made a career out of that, apparently. And he's going to have the NIL, but like, if you tank and you're bottom feeding in the SEC and all these guys that you brought in wind up being busts or whatever, if you don't think that's not going to be used against Arkansas as negative recruiting, you're crazy. It is. So they got to do whatever they can to maximize whatever the hell the ceiling for this is now, which I don't know what that looks like. I told you, John, right before we got started, like, this is the first time for me where 0-18 is actually on the table.
Yeah.
And I, even earlier today, I was like, nah, like I still think they're going to win a good handful of SEC games, whatever. But this is where I'm looking at it going,
Yeah. Well, see, I actually thought about, because I always try to think of questions of the day. I thought about maybe Inside Arkansas Live tomorrow being question of the day, like, hey, is it more likely Arkansas goes 0-18 or they finish, I think I was going to do like 6-12, and which is more likely? And I'm like, man, I ain't going to do that, because we all know the answer. Like, it's more likely going to be 0-18. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Like, for real. Hopefully it does not happen, but
yeah,
sheesh. Like, what else could go wrong to really make people feel like it's possible? I don't know.
This is ridiculous, man. John Hamm, I just want to point this out. He says, Billy playing point guard. Are you serious? Gosh. Yes, actually I am. This is not my idea. Cal mentioned on his radio show, he mentioned this earlier in the preseason, by the way, where they had some guys injured or whatever. And he's like, oh, I had Billy Richmond running point guard. He looked great in there. Okay. And then he mentioned it again on his radio show Monday as like the guy behind DJ Wagner at point guard if Boogie's out. And then Chin Coleman mentioned it today as being the guy. So like, he is next man up behind DJ Wagner at point guard. They see these guys at practice every day. So I don't know if they should get the benefit of the doubt anymore or not, but it wouldn't have been my first my first go-to on that, but nonetheless, here we are. So
yeah, I just want to see that. Like, honestly, I just want to see a team that has pride, and because these are guys still basketball players, that's what they do. They play basketball. So I'm still hoping that there can be some positives from it. But if it's throwing out there Billy Richmond playing a point guard, so be it. Why not? What's the worst thing that can happen? You lose. You're doing that anyways. So why not do whatever you can?
Yeah, whatever. Let's get weird. One thing they are going to have to do, obviously we're thinking right now, but like, man, how are they going to score on people? The non-negotiable is like they have to really tighten up on defense. As bad as it's been, they're still top 30 in the country in defensive efficiency.
Crazy.
Which makes no sense to me. And it's not like they were, top 5 or something and it started to drop off in SEC play. Like they were, I think, at 25th going into league play, and now they're 30th. So they're hanging in there on that end. They got to really tighten it up there. They have to be a lot better about, taking some gambles and forcing some turnovers and like letting that fuel the offense out in transition. You got to be able to run and get some numbers and get some easy ones. Otherwise, they're going to be in some of these games where, they scored 65 on Missouri the other day, and they were averaging 60 even for the first 3 games of SEC play with Boogie. So,
Gosh. Yeah, I want to see almost, not, and I know it's completely different teams. I'm just talking about the style of it. Almost go full mode of like that JD Note, Jalen Williams team from a couple years ago, where it's your defense. Like just hammer the defense being the number one priority and focusing on that, and then have 1 or 2 guys be your offense. If it's Nelly Davis, if he finally gets it going, him and Adu Thiero, just whoever. But just if you just hammer it, focus on that offense, focus on those FTAs. I know that's always kind of suspect here and there, but I feel like that's your only shot. That's your only chance, is just to, because you're not going to do it offensively. So maybe just do whatever you can defensively. Maybe that'll lead to some transition. Maybe it'll lead to some other things too. But yeah, I just don't know where the points are going to come from consistently at this point, especially without Boogie Fland. I just don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if if this was circulating behind the scenes earlier tonight with some national media, because I did notice it just, and it wasn't quite directed at Cal. Like I know Jeff Goodman did his hit piece. The Ion College Basketball Pocket, they let off their show on CBS Sports today with the full segment about Cal and his failures at Arkansas, and it's like, this is a national show, and you're leading off with this, and with everything else going on in the country right now, you want to talk about one of the worst teams in it. But you get why they're doing that. But there was just a ton of people who were bodying Seth Greenberg and like outing him. Cause I guess I know that Matt Jones, KSR, put out a thing where he was like, screw, don't tell us how to feel as fans or whatever, whatever. Greenberg, he was a dick to me or whatever at SEC Media Day. And then all of a sudden you've got who's Goodman's, what Rob Douster is like, yeah, Greenberg's done that to me. A lot of really mean, rude text. And then Sam Vecini, the NBA guy, did it. Like all of a sudden, all of these talking heads are like, yeah, it's not just us. Greenberg, man, he's Cal's PR team. He's a security guy. I wonder if they just heard that to where it's like, okay, it's a pretty safe bet at this point. Arkansas is not going to be able to turn this thing around. Their best players out for the year, so we can really unleash it now. I just wonder if there's something to that.
It seemed very coordinated because, like you said, it's one thing if it's after a game the next day or whatever, but if you're leading off your show, as you said, which I didn't know that, but if they're leading off their show when Arkansas and Cal have not done anything of news or noteworthy since Saturday, like, okay, like that, of all the things, nothing's changed. Why not Monday? Why didn't you do that on Monday or whenever? But if you're doing it at that point, yeah, there's definitely seems there's some coordination behind that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think we're done here. I was trying to find one more chat that I saw as we were scrolling through, but somebody asked, like, can we not just go get somebody from Europe or whatever and and pull them in? It's too late for that, like, because classes started, so in terms of getting somebody enrolled, and then especially coming from overseas, ask Big Z how easy it is to go through the clearance process with all that, with the NCAA and everything. So nope, what they have, as Sam Pittman says, all we've got is all we need, and we just have to hope that that's true.
I just want to throw this out there. I don't know, but what if they did a thing with Muss and Jamario Bell? Is there a football player on the team right now that can help out and play basketball? Like, is there Is there a wide receiver? Like, is there somebody that can help with some depth somehow, some way? I don't know. I don't even know if that's an option, but that was kind of my first thought too. I was like, hey, go on the football team. Maybe you got some ballers out there that can at least help you be a body in practice. I have no idea. But
who would the guy be? What football player would you want to bring in here?
that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, the one I would probably want the most is the one that's the least likely going to do it, and that's Taylon Green. I feel like Taylon Green would be
an athlete, man.
Yeah, like, but they're not going to let the starting quarterback. Bobby Petrino's not going to let the QB1 play basketball. So, I mean, it'd be him. But there's also so many new faces on the team for football. I don't even know if who of these guys would make it work. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be a tough thing to try to figure out. Maybe. Trying to think if there's any like wide receivers that would be there, or maybe a defensive back, tight end, maybe. But I don't know. I really don't. Maybe that
Lassiter. He does everything else.
Bring him on. Just give him a spot. Let him happen. Maybe KJ Jackson, maybe the backup QB can go in there and help. I don't know, but it would be really funny and really kind of cool if something like that happened. But I don't know. Maybe, at this point, just try something. Try anything you can just to make it happen.
Oh goodness, a Dude Thero point guard. Just have him do Draymond Green things. I don't know, man. This is rough stuff.
Yeah, like I said, what's the worst that could happen? You lose. I mean, you're losing now, so just whatever it takes, man. Throw it out there. Whatever it takes.
Exactly. Oh, hey, super chat. Sharkensaw says Broden can catch better than Adu.
Okay, witty. Like it's.
Hey, why are we piling on Adu right now? Like we can't be throwing strays at the guys who can play at this point.
Seriously, yeah. Come on. Just be nice about it.
And I thought one of the things I liked about him last year at Tennessee was I thought his hands had improved a lot. But right now it's like if he's moving when you throw it to him, that's tough stuff. And if he's putting it on the deck, it's like a turnover waiting to happen. I get it.
It's a shame.
Another super chat, Ron Rogers. Thank you. We appreciate it. He says Boogie has been bullied like a redheaded stepchild in the SEC, draft stock going down like Courtney Love. Gosh, man. Dang.
Why? Like, oh my gosh, dude.
Well, I mean, gosh, can we just say that he hasn't played as well against SEC competition? But I will read his SEC numbers real quick and then we can get out of here. But I mean, 23 assists to 4 turnovers is really good. It's like he has done that part of it. Just under 13 points per game. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, 28% from the field, 27% from 3. And he hasn't been very good on defense either. Like he's, those bigger physical guys, to the not so mean point that he's making there, they've kind of feasted on him. So there you go. There we go. With and people. Okay. So we've got all these Kentucky folks who are in here like John Calipari's a snake oil salesman. We told you about Cal. You told us what? That his best player was going to get injured in January and be out for the year? Like we've already done the thing where they've gone 0-5 and this is historically bad and it's unacceptable. We've talked about all that. This is about a player being injured. I don't know what this has to do with Cal unless you guys are pushing the conspiracy theory that he's protecting his guy and pulling him out or whatever. Maybe he's done that in the past, but why the hell would you do that now when you're teetering on the most disastrous season of your career? I don't know, man.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I guess I must have missed that episode of a live stream or podcast or radio show that said that, yeah, you just wait. You Razorback fans, Boogie Fland's going to get out for the season. It's going to be classic Cal. Like, this is about Boogie Fland being out for the year. If you're just continuing to pile on about this, it's pretty sad, but it is who you are. So that's fine. Whatever. You worry about your own team. There's plenty to worry about there.
Every time I think we're out of here, we get another super chat, but I do appreciate it. This could be an interesting one.
Great.
Gonzo, thank you. It says, I live in Lexington. Each time Pope loses a game, the fans and local media want to burn him at the stake. I haven't seen that. He says, UK fans expect a championship each year. You have to win every game. They scare everyone away. Interesting.
Well, I mean,
the pressure's different there. That much I could probably agree with. So
yeah. I can't wait to see if they have a good year, which they're having a good year. But if they lose in the first round of the tournament again, what do they do? How do they react? I guess we'll find out and wait and see. So fun stuff. It's always fun stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting out of here because just a bunch of weird Kentucky fans are like, "We told you about John Calipari.
Y'all go to
You
bed.
didn't listen. You guys made fun of us in the summer."
And I'm gonna still make fun of you. I'm gonna still make fun of you because of this. Jeez, just go to bed. Y'all are on the East
Hey,
Coast.
man.
It's like 11:30 over there. Go to
Crazy,
bed.
bro. Hey, you guys are playing really well. Pope's doing a good job. Cal has failed this season. We've said it. Like, what do you want us to do? We're eating the shit that's getting thrown at us. That's where we're at. Everybody have a good night. We're out of here. John, I appreciate you hopping on with me, buddy.
Anytime.
See y'all in the morning. Arkansas plays tomorrow without Boogie Fland, so that'll be fun. Later, y'all.